Hey guys, welcome back to All Things Cinema podcast. Happy New Year to every one of you. It's the first video of 2023, and in this video we'll be talking about 2022, the year we had, the crazy year we had. I think it was a pretty interesting year in terms of cinema across languages, across industries around the world. Certainly a milestone year for Indian cinema, I would say, because there were a few nominations in the Oscars and the Golden Globes. For the first time since Lagan a couple of decades ago, a film has been nominated in the Best Foreign Film category, the last show I'm talking about. So, because of these reasons, I think we had a wonderful year. And now looking back, it was such a difficult task actually to narrow it down to the favorite films that I saw. But I finally somehow got it done. And also, this is a list which doesn't have any particular order or ranking because I didn't want to spoil the fun I had or spoil the nostalgia or the memory attached with them. It is just a list of the films that I enjoyed in one way or the other. I love them equally. So let's start with the first one. The first one that just comes to my mind is Avatar 2, call it recency bias. But this was probably the most stunning experience I had in a theater. And also the distance I went, because I traveled a long way to catch the first show, or rather first midnight show, and worth the wait. 13 years it took for James Cameron to come back, and it was definitely worth the wait. Next comes The Batman. People who watch my videos, they know about this bad sign and my love for Batman as my favorite superhero. And this was probably a long time coming as well, because we hadn't had a solo Batman film for a long time since the Dark Knight trilogy ended. We finally had one, and I just recalling the whole theatrical experience and that Batman theme and that whole detective drama, which was one of its kind, that conversation at the end between Riddler and Joker, which has just skyrocketed my expectations for the part 2. So all these things combined up for a great experience, which was pretty memorable. Okay, now I have two movies tied up because of a couple of reasons. So these are two Malayalam films, and it was the first time I ever watched a Malayalam film in a theater. It had been a long time since I was covering Malayalam cinema here with you guys, discussing and reviewing films, and I had a long desire to go and watch a Malayalam film in a theater. And what better than Janagana Mana to break that barrier and among Malayalam audience, a film that was so hard-hitting, so honest, with Prithvi Raj, who's I think a flag bearer of these kind of political satire films, and we already saw that in Kurudi, and now this one. I think an all-out winner, and I can't really wait what's to come in part 2. We have had a little bit of a glimpse in the trailer, so keeping fingers crossed that it's as enjoyable as the first one. The other one was Malyan Kunya. This film, again, Fahad Fasil being my favorite actor, Rahman sir being my favorite composer, and this survival drama genre, which is so rare in India, everything was put together so well, to give us a very claustrophobic experience even sitting in the theater. So one I would never forget. Okay, the next one again is a tie between two Tamil films, because just as those are the Malayalam films I went to a theater for the first time, these are the Tamil films which I went to the theater for the first time, and I'm talking about Vikram and PS1. Vikram was probably my most enjoyable theatrical experience in terms of the audience around me. The craziness and the madness these people have for their superstars. Kamal Haasan making a comeback after 4 years. Fahad Fasil in a Tamil film stood out for me. Vijay Sethupathi tried something very different, and you add to that a hip score by Anirudh, and of course, the multiverse of madness that is being created by Lokesh Kanagraj. And of course, how can we forget the surprise, not so surprise, but a surprise, wonderful cameo by Surya at the end as Rolex. So looking forward to the next part as well. The other one was PS1, of course, Mani Ratnam also finally getting to make this long awaited ambitious project come to life, and I thought it was one of the most beautiful looking films on the screen aesthetically, and A.R. Rahman at his best. So I mean, it only makes me wanna get to April 2023 as soon as possible to get to the part 2 that's coming. Now the next one, Kantara, was probably the biggest surprise of 2022. The kind of success it got, the kind of word of mouth it got across the nation. I think this is the right definition of pan-India, because this was, on the contrary, like people would say RRR was also such a humongous success around India, but this one, it just came out of nowhere and, blew everyone's mind. So that way, I think kudos to Rishabh Shetty for bringing us this divine entertainer, as they're calling it, and probably the most powerful climax in 2022 across languages, if you ask me. I watched it twice, and even the second time, knowing what's going to happen, I still got goosebumps. So you know where I'm coming from. The next one, Top Gun Maverick. This is another IMAX experience which I will not forget. It's one of the highlights of 2022, and it's also the highest grossing film of 2022 around the world for some reason. I mean, even if you hadn't watched the old Top Gun, you would still end up enjoying this one as a standalone film. It has given you enough information from the first part that you don't really need to go back and research on that, which is probably a really good thing about this film. And Tom Cruise, I mean, sky's the limit for this guy, right? Now you must be wondering, there's no Hindi films in this list. How is that possible? Well, here we go. It's a tie between two films because I watched them back to back on Netflix. I'm talking about Kala and Monica Oh My Darling. Kala being probably, the sleeper hit for me this year, because it was a film which I didn't really have much expectations from, because we had seen Anvita directing Bulbul before, and it was not a bad film, but the way Kala stood out this time, and the climax, especially the ending and the performances, the music, everything just came together to give us this wonderful experience. The other one was, of course, Monica Oh My Darling. I mean, Vasan Bala, he's such a genius, and kudos to both of these directors for keeping the faith of audience intact in when it comes to original stuff in Bollywood. And with Vasan Bala, it was always I was always expecting some quality stuff, because Mard Ko Dard Nahi Hota Hai, I don't know if a lot of people have watched that film, but even that film had something about it, and this film, I think he hit it out of the park with such good performances, with a stellar soundtrack. Okay, next one again is a tie between two Malayalam films, because again I saw them back to back on OTT. Talumala, which was probably the coolest film of the year. The slickest editing, the action sequences, the camera work, everything, it just stayed with me. And the other one I'm talking about is of course Nadna Case Code, which I think which was such a powerful original script. It was the dark horse of 2022 for me, and a performance to remember by Kunchaka Boban. I mean, it just sucked me into that world, and I was blown away by. I shouldn't be surprised by the sheer brilliance of Malayalam filmmakers by now, because I have been covering these films for almost 2 years. But still, I mean, this film stood out for me. And people thinking, where is RRR? Where is RRR? Of course, RRR is there in this list. And it's not only because of the theatrical experience, but also because the global attention it got, the way it has taken Indian cinema to newer heights, to newer audiences, and of course the Oscar nomination and the Golden Globe nominations are a cherry on the top. And I think RRR has probably made Rajamouli the most sought after and bankable director in India right now. Lastly, two films that really stayed with me, and they will probably stay with me in the future as well. First one is probably because I'm a musician. I'm talking about Elvis. It's a film that was somehow that touched me in a way that no other film did, and it was a career best performance by Austin Butler, I thought, who brought Elvis to life in this biopic. Something that Rami Malek also did in Bohemian Rhapsody as Freddie Mercury. And the other one was Badhai Do, for I thought it's a milestone film in Indian cinema for handling the sensitive subject like that so tastefully and delicately, and without mocking anything and breaking the barriers and myths around these communities, which I think is an equal part of the society that deserves a fair treatment as any other heterosexual person in the society around. And I think this film would go a long way in changing that in Indian cinema, because before that we had seen so many films just making a joke out of these sort of characters, and so glad that it was so well done and so well received as well. So this was my list of the films I enjoyed the most in 2022. I really hope that this year, now 2023, we have even better cinema, and I hope to be more consistent on the channel and bring you even better stuff, even better quality stuff, with more and more discussions, with more panelists around. And thank you so much for being with All Things Cinema podcast in 2022. We had a good year and hoping to go multifolds in this coming year as well. And happy new year to you and your family, and please don't forget to subscribe and share and comment and like whatever you feel like after watching this video. Thank you so much. See you soon.